Hello. So today we're going to be studying the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 1. So chapter 1 starts off with a story about a man named Elkanah. Elkanah had two wives, Peninnah and Hannah. Peninnah had children and Hannah had none. So every year, Elkanah would go up to a place called Shiloh where he would worship and sacrifice to the Lord. He would give meat portions to Peninnah and her sons and her daughters, and to Hannah he would give a double portion because the Lord had closed her womb and he loved her. So because the Lord had closed her womb, Peninnah became her rival, right? And was irritating her, provoking her, constantly becoming a headache to Hannah. This went on year after year until Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, where Peninnah once again was provoking her and irritating her to the point where she was crying and she would not want to eat. And her husband in verse 8 said, "Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons?" So verse 9, once they had finished eating and drinking at Shiloh, Hannah stood up. Now Eli the priest was sitting on his chair by the doorpost of the Lord's house, and in her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly. And she made a vow saying, "Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head." So as she kept praying, Eli, remember the priest, was watching her. And Hannah was not saying any words, but her mouth was moving because she was praying in her heart. So as her mouth was moving, praying in her deep, deep misery, Eli assumed that she was drunk. So this is what he said. "How long are you going to stay drunk? Put away your wine." Hannah responded, "Not so, my lord. I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of the great anguish and grief." Eli answered her, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." She said, "May your servant find favor in your eyes." Then she went away and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Early the next morning they arose and worshipped before the Lord, and they went back to their home at Ramah. Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. So in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, "Because I asked the Lord for him." So verse 21, Hannah dedicates Samuel. When Elkanah went up with all his family to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow, Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, "After the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always." So that word weaned means, so since he's a baby, she's going to be breastfeeding him until he no longer needs to be breastfeeding. Verse 23, "Do what seems best to you," her husband Elkanah told her. "Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word." So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she had weaned him. After he was weaned, she took the boy, young as he was, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. When the bull had been sacrificed, they brought the boy to Eli. So remember, Eli is that priest. And she said to him, "Pardon me, my lord. As surely as you live, I am the woman that stood beside you praying to the Lord." So right now, she's telling her testimony, right? Before, when she met Eli, she was going through a lot and she didn't have a son. She prayed. Eli said, "Go in peace. May the Lord grant you what you have prayed for." And the Lord delivered. So now she's telling her testimony, right? So I prayed for this child, and the Lord had granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. That's chapter 1.